Hello, I'm Bailey Aulenbach, owner of Midnight Mama Sleep Consulting, and welcome to this week's version of Sleep Questions in My DMs. Each Friday, I go over some questions that get flooded into my DMs during the week, and I answer a few of them. So today, I'll be covering 4 questions. The first one is, I don't use a sleep sack for my baby because the room is warm enough. Is this okay? I actually always recommend the use of a sleep sack because later on down the road, it helps prevent crib climbing. It's also a cue for your child to recognize that sleep is near or sleep is happening. And it can also just make sure that we are positive that your child is warm enough throughout the night. So if you know that the room is warm and it doesn't need any adjusting and your child doesn't need any blankets, I would still put a sleep sack on. They have some very thin sleep sacks that are basically like a sheet, which would not make them too warm. Or if you're comfortable with turning the temperature down, which is actually ideal for sleep, then you could get them a warmer sleep sack. If you think about yourself, even in the summer, it's kind of uncomfortable just sleeping in the air. I always like having a blanket on me. It feels comforting, it feels soothing, and if I need, I will stick my arm or leg out of the blanket, but the rest of my body is still under it. So it's also a comfort thing. I would highly recommend a sleep sack at all times up until age 3 when your child moves out of the crib. I have a light in my baby's room so that I can see when I breastfeed. Can I leave it on all the time? I would recommend only using it when you breastfeed and then potentially even turning it off once you have your baby latched. It's important that you're not waking yourself up too much during this feeding and your baby's actually not waking up too much or having a hard time falling asleep after. It also depends on your baby's age, so it's ideal once or after you do a night feeding that you put your baby down awake. So if you have a light on, that can be really stimulating and interfere with melatonin production. So I really like the use of I had this small egg, it looks like this, and I would use that when I would nurse my babies. I just had a baby last week. What should I focus on for sleep? First of all, congratulations. Having a baby is so exciting and all-encompassing. But what I want you to focus on right now is feedings. So get a good feeding schedule, whether you're nursing or you're formula feeding or bottle feeding. It's important that you have a good feeding schedule for your child, and then stuff with sleep can happen later. But do remember that your child should only tolerate about 45 to 60 minutes of awake time in their awake period. So don't keep them up longer. It's normal for them to nap many times throughout the day. And then at nighttime, I would start implementing a little bit of a nighttime routine. So I do have a newborn routine video posted. I will link it below, and check that out so that you can start implementing a routine for them to help them with sleep. My son is a thumb sucker, and I've noticed he's developing a thicker callus on his thumb. Should I be concerned? No, I wouldn't be too concerned, and if you are, I'd reach out to your son's pediatrician. But it's common when your child is sucking on their thumb or putting a lot of use on a certain part of their body, so their thumb, it's normal for it to develop a callus. You think of yourself, if you go to the gym, you develop calluses once you're holding weights and doing things a lot. So the same is true when the tongue, which is a strong muscle, is rubbing against the thumb a lot. So it's not painful for them. You can moisturize it with lotion throughout the day to maybe help soften the skin a little bit. But if you have a big concern, please reach out to your doctor. Well, that's it for this week's edition of Sleep Questions in My DMs. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you have sleep questions that you want answered, feel free to leave a comment or hop in my DMs on either Facebook or Instagram. I would love to answer your questions here. And be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any videos that come out.